I love being here so much. And I don't need a lot in my loving being here. I just need to be right in the heart of it. Alive to it. You know, I want to be always alive to the fact that a miracle happened and I came back to Ireland, and it's just, I want never to forget that. I'm getting emotional again.
My name is Catherine Healy and I'm the historian in residence here at EPIC, the Irish Emigration Museum. People from all backgrounds have been leaving Ireland from the time we've began written records. It's been estimated that around 10 million people have left Ireland since 1800, and of course the Great Famine was a big driver of that movement. Around 2.1 million people left this country between 1845 and 1855, which was about a quarter of the pre-famine population. We were the only country in Europe to have fewer people by the end of the 19th century than at the beginning. 70 million people worldwide now claim Irish ancestry as a result. Things did improve from the 1960s with the government's programme for economic expansion, and in the 70s even more people actually returning to Ireland than leaving. Of course, Ireland's membership of the EEC brought significant economic benefits, and then the 1980s, of course, things really worsened. Widespread unemployment, emigration of around 450,000 people in that decade. Most of them leaving for England and the southeast particularly, but also a large number going to America. And things really only began to improve from the mid to late 90s.
I spent 33 years in England. I very fortunately returned to Ireland just before the second lockdown in October during COVID, and I just knew if I left it any longer I mightn't know when I'd get back.
In the 1980s, there was gross emigration of around 450,000 people, many of them young, educated, and of course, by now, a lot of them will be reaching retirement age and will want to come to Ireland for that next chapter of their lives.
I wanted to come home for about 10 years, but I didn't know how I would survive financially living in Ireland, and I didn't really want to land on anybody else in the family. But I ached to come home.
It was very important that she came home independently and willingly and on her own terms.
A diverse mix of people do decide to eventually return to Ireland. They might be young families who want their children educated in Ireland. They want to have access again to the familial networks that they have back home. And some of them will be retired, will want to have the comfort of the community in which they grew up around them in that next chapter of their lives. So there are diverse motivations.
They say when you go, you're only an hour away. Well, nothing could be further from the truth. You are a whole world away.
The Irish immigrant experience today, I suppose, is nearly unrecognisable compared to that of a century before, where once you had no Irish need apply type signs, now Irish people are in high demand.
I was an immigrant myself. When I was 17 years of age, I went off to London, and like a lot of Irish people of that time and of my age, and I worked on the building sites, and there I met an awful lot of Irish people who had immigrated in the 50s and 60s, and a lot of people maybe who may have worked on the roads, in the motorways, which meant that they were living in the pipes that they would use as the bridges on the roads, and they would put tarpaulin at the front and tarpaulin at the back, and they would travel with the roads. It meant that they may not be getting an opportunity to socialise or meet people and maybe have families or so on. So they're now at an age where they're not really able to work anymore. A lot of their friends have passed on or returned home, and they find themselves in a limbo, and it's a lonely space.
One of the assumptions I think we can make about Irish people integrating or coming back into our community is, they're Irish, so they know how it works, they know where everything is. But we have to reflect that somebody might have been very young when they left Ireland and now they find themselves a returning immigrant, and they might need to apply for a driver's license. They might need to apply for a bank account. They might need to purchase a car. Things that we are doing ourselves on a daily basis, and we just know how to do them because we've done them several times. But somebody coming back into our country may need assistance at that. There's a cultural challenge because when you come back to Ireland, you know, when you come home for Christmas or come home to visit, people make a lot of time for you and it's all about socialization and socializing. Suddenly you come back and you come back to live and everybody's busy and they're not making the time in the same way for you. So it can be quite isolating, I think, to come back. It's not exactly the same as that visit home for Christmas when you move home here permanently.
We often talk about the economic benefits that return emigrants bring, but there are also very important social benefits. People are bringing home the skills acquired in new countries, new perspectives, and it helps enrich our communities, it helps enrich our societies to have those insights.
I think that actually everybody in Ireland should have left the country at some stage. I think it is the most important thing to actually grow and learn some difficulties and be with a whole group of other people and find your way through all those sort of challenges, because that you come back, then you come back with something else. You come back as a new person, as I did. I think before I came to Ireland, there's always that little bit of fear that you might that it, you know, it mightn't be the transition you expect it to be, but actually it was the one I expected it to be. I fitted in immediately. I never doubted it. I never, I never thought, thought that there was anything to adapt to. I loved it, and I was just true to everything that I was inside, and it just all fitted in. I think the Ireland that I left, Dublin was more the centre of it. And I really noticed that actually the whole of Ireland has become much more and owning its own self. Safe Home Ireland made it possible for me to come home. They held my dream when I didn't really believe that it could happen. They were a family to me, and they still are a family.